We'll call this meeting to order. Will you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, if I can get in here without sure. Turn the thing. Got it? Yep. Okay. May I have a roll call, please?
Hannah.
Yes.
Callahan.
Here.
Rodriguez absent. Hill.
Here.
Scharf.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I do have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Assuming nothing for public comment, since we can't even connect most things. My apologies to the public if you are watching or able to, that we're starting a little late because we're having a little technical difficulties, so you'll have to bear with us tonight. Next on the agenda is our oath of office, and I wanted to make sure if there is anybody watching that you do understand that the oath of office is not just a photo op for the 5 elected officials. It actually is, they were duly elected by the majority of the citizens in either their ward or the city as a whole, and this is their oath to the citizens that they promise to serve you to the best of their ability. So I will be having them repeat what I say for the oath, except for where they state their name and their office that they just got elected to, and we will see if we can pull this one off since we don't have a lot of electronics tonight. So, do we want them in the...
We'll have you stand right here in front. Mayor will be at the podium facing you. Bob, I have your cheat sheet here. Cheat sheet. I think Bonnie has the rest of it. Oh, do you need larger print?
Okay, each of you are going to have 3 of these that you need to sign. One you'll take for yourself, and the other 2 you give back to the city records. This one is for Tom. That's the only one you're going to get. I don't have one for you. I'm not giving up. I guess I do need one of them, just so I can put Steve Wagner's, please. Thank you. Okay, on the places where you do have to state your name or your part, do that. Otherwise, I'd like you to repeat after me. Raise your right hand, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. Let me start it for you and do it in sections, please. Let me do a section, then you repeat it. Okay? That's part of the repeating part. So do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all duties of the position, and state what your position is in the City of Independence as now and hereafter required by law. We made it. So each of you, if you'll sign yours, turn 2 of them back into the city clerk, so she'll have them for record. You can keep 1 for your own. I'll explain Bob's to him later, so. Thank you all. Oh. I get to go up there?
Oh, okay.
I thought you had my head I might say who's the shortest, I can stand there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not gonna help anybody. I'm with lines.
Got the flag.
We have, would you have rabbit ears behind my head?
Just a moment, just a moment.
Thank you.
I know, it was just really hard to stop myself.
You did it?
No.
I didn't think so. Because I know you.
Just put him on, he's got one.
I can guarantee you that when your new mayor takes over, it'll be a lot more organized than it is tonight. So. Next on our agenda is, I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the November 22nd, 2021 regular meeting, Casey's General Store, number 2169, Class E liquor license renewal, Class B wine permit, Class C beer permit, and Sunday sales, January 30th, 2022 through January 29th, 2023.
So moved.
I'm not finished. There's more, excuse me. That's just the first Casey's. Second one is Casey's General Store 2239. Oh, there's two of them. Okay, Casey's General Store 2169 Class E liquor license amendment for ownership updates. Casey's General Store 2239 Class E liquor license amendment for ownership updates. And Casey's General Store 3292 Class E liquor license amendment for ownership updates. 319 Social House LLC Class C liquor license application and Sunday sales, January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. Thank you. Thank you.
So the last one was taken off of there?
No, that one,
No.
everything was taken
I
care of.
received everything in time before the meeting started, so it could stay on.
So that is part of the motion.
Thanks.
Second.
Second, thank you. Okay, I do have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is approval of claims for payment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda or on your thing is your bank reconciliation. Hopefully you were able to see those or will be able to at a later date. And also the revenues and expenses to date. Those are all for your information from the city clerk. Next on the agenda is petitions from the public for Bergen KDV fiscal year 2021 audit report. I believe somebody's here to represent them. They're just,
Perfect. Appreciate you, Al. I have about the same luck with technology as it appears that the city does with, yeah, I have the same issues, so. Fantastic. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Justin Opatz. I'm part of Bergen KDV, and I'm here to present the 2021 audit. So for the newer council members, congratulations on your new positions, and this is the most exciting thing I'm sure that you'll watch all year long, so strap in. If you have any questions during the presentation, just speak up. I'm more than happy to answer them during the presentation. Otherwise, we can catch them at the end too, because I get really passionate about this, so I'll just go all the way through my presentation if no one stops me. The first thing I wanted to point out was the reason you have printed copies and not pretty bound copies is these are drafts. So before the finalization of the audit, we need the Independence Light and Power report, and that wasn't available yet. Those final numbers weren't available yet. So this technically is a draft. All of the city information is, from our end, considered final, but we do need the ILP information to finalize the audit. So these are all the fund reports and what you pay us for, essentially. So this first part talks about your responsibility as management for the financial statements, and it's our responsibility as your auditors to audit those financial statements and to give an opinion on them. So we do give an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion we are allowed to give as your auditors. Basically provides assurance that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. That fifth bullet point talks about the adverse opinion, which is related to ILP. And so because they are on a different basis of accounting than the city and have a different fiscal year end, there's no way to really present them, their information with the city's information in a way that it makes sense. So we give an adverse opinion on that. The next bullet point is a report on government auditing standards. So because of the level of grant activity that the city receives, we have to look a little bit closer at compliance with laws, contracts, grant agreements, internal controls, all that good stuff. So we do have two significant deficiencies in internal control. So that's a mid-level finding from our standpoint. And it's, if you look in the thicker document, the report, it'll be closer to the back. What they are is, so you have two component units. You have the fire department and you have the library foundation. They're both legally separate entities, and they both don't have a ton of people involved in all their day-to-day transactions. So we give a lack of segregation of accounting duties, just basically making you aware that there aren't a ton of hands in all those transactions. And then the next bullet point after that is the Iowa Code of Compliance. So the state auditor's office gives us a very specific checklist of very specific statutes that they want us to check compliance with. And so with that testing, we had 3 findings. So we had a budget finding, and so basically one function, and it was debt service, went over budget, and an amendment wasn't done in time to basically recognize that. And it was related to the new debt issuance this year. And then there was an improper disbursement for $25 related to the library fund. And so that was that Food for Fines program. I guess I'm not sure if you're all familiar with it, but they basically took a month's worth of fines and donated it to the food pantry. And I believe that's been discontinued in the future, so it'll hopefully go away after this year, right? And then the final one is the electronic check retention, also related to the library foundation. So, and that also has been remedied, I believe, as of 2021. So hopefully going forward, those two will go away. Now we start to look at the actual, the fun, dig into the numbers, financial activity, right? So these are revenues and expenditures and fund balance for the year. So fund balance went up about 686,000. And looking at kind of the fund balance policy compared to where you are, the fund balance policy looks for about 25% of operating expenditures to be in that fund balance. And to close the year out, you were at about 38%. So definitely in compliance with that fund balance policy. This digs a little bit farther into the receipts. So taxes and assessments increased about 200,000 just due to an increase in the levy. Intergovernmental increased about 250,000 due to the CARES grant money received. License permits and charges increased about 100,000. And then miscellaneous revenues increased about 120,000 due to increased citation revenue. Looking at disbursements, there were a couple of reasons disbursements is up. General government was up about 60,000 due to timing of legal invoices. Public safety was up due to just wage increases, hours worked, things like that. Public Works decreased due to the sidewalk and different capital projects that happened in the prior year that didn't happen this year. And yeah, that's all I wanted to touch on there. So onto the enterprise fund. So this is a graph of the last 5 years for the operating income for your water and sewer funds. So you'll see the green bar is your water fund operating income. And so for 4 out of the 5 years presented, it's been positive, which is always good to see. So the reason it turned negative this year was there was a large purchase of water meters to match up with the ILP software. So you'll see that go negative, but not necessarily something to be concerned about because hopefully operations will turn back next year, right? And then same thing with sewer. So sewer operating income has been positive in all 5 years presented, but it actually went up a little bit this year, which is more closely, you can kind of see 2020 was kind of an outlier, and that was due to finishing the wastewater treatment program, or the wastewater treatment plant in 2020. So you see kind of that dip in 2020, and then back up to where you'd expect in 2021. This looks at the cash position for both of these funds. Again, we'll start with the green bar, so you can see that dip this year due to the purchase of those water meters. And then the blue bar you can kind of see has consistently been increasing over the last 5 years due to those positive operations of that fund. We just wanted to include the slide to monitor as far as this capital project fund. So you can kind of see it's kind of fluctuated all over the place the last 5 years. And it's tough because you're cash basis, and so this doesn't take into account different grants that you plan on receiving, different bonds that you plan to issue, things like that. But it did get a little more negative this year, about $2 million. And so just something to monitor as you're planning your capital projects, that you do have this deficit that will eventually need to get filled. That's all I got. Do you have anything for me?
Anybody have any questions?
No, thank you.
Fantastic. This is my email information if you do ever have any questions throughout the year or any questions on this presentation, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Ray?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is actually my first in-person one in like 2 years, so I apologize for the rust and like, yeah, trying to get back into
You
it.
came a good unorganized night.
I appreciate you all for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Looks very young.
Ooh, boy, you put that light back on, it's bright.
Right.
Okay, next on the agenda is under hearings, is in regards to Chapter 3 wards and precincts. So my first is, I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication for the notice of a public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Do have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to hold the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the reorganizing of wards and precincts.
The ward maps have been presented previously. We did have to make some changes, pretty significant changes in Ward 3, where most of the growth was. You'll see in the proposed amendment, there is a very small change to Ward 2, which was very stable. Ward 1 moved basically 1 block to the west, just about the entire length of the north-south boundary. Ward 4 moved across the river to the west to get to the right calculation or the right population. Taking that population out of Ward 3, Ward 3 then moves south across First Street.
5, not
I mean,
5.
5 moves south into Ward 3 across First Street. Our population is growing, but most significantly in Ward 3. Ward 3 is at 1187. The other 3 wards are all at about 1212, 1218 in that area. The reason for a little bit smaller count in Ward 3 is because that's where most of our growth is happening yet today. Or we've seen the greatest growth there in the last 10 years, and it continues to be where we have our housing growth. This all meets the requirements of the redistricting rule, which says that we have to be within 10% population between each ward. I tried to make them as equal as I could, based again on population.
So these will stay in place for 10 years until the next census?
That's correct.
I'm impressed. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see anybody out in the audience that has any questions. Okay, hearing nothing, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the first reading. May I have a roll call, please?
Callahan?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Because we are on a deadline with the state as far as when this needs to be back into them, I am asking for a motion to suspend the rules and waive the second and third readings so that we can take care of this tonight and get it off to the auditor's office.
When's it gonna be back?
The deadline to have it to the state is December 27th. The auditor has their maps to draw between now and then, so we are on a very tight timeline. The only way we could do it, you have two options tonight. One is to waive the second reading and adopt it on the third, or call for a special council meeting to review this ordinance a second time and a third time.
And part of the problem on this is the state they turned down their first redistricting, so we couldn't do anything till the state
Correct.
finished their work, and that put us behind, so that's why we're where we're at.
I make the motion to approve the second, third reading.
Second.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading. May I have a roll call, please?
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Thank you. The next, I need a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. May I have a roll call, please?
Scharf?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion carried. Appreciate you working together and getting that processed through. Okay, if I'm following this right, next is under public hearing on proposed amendment to the Independence Urban Renewal Area. I start with a motion to receive and file proof of publication for the notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to actually hold the meeting,
So
hold the
moved.
hearing.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to hold the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the proposed amendment to the Independence Urban Renewal Area.
This amendment allows for the projects that we have in the original urban renewal district, which is downtown, the area on First Street East and West, and Highway 150 North and South. That's the entire area of the original urban renewal district that this is in. And it allows us to use TIF dollars to fund projects within this district not to exceed $900,000. We have to amend the plan before we can take action on the actual projects themselves. And that's what you're doing with this amendment currently.
Which projects are we talking about?
This would be your two catalyst grants. which total almost $830,000, and then we've got, I'm missing the name of it,
Lee Mansion?
not the Lee Mansion.
Across the street.
We've got the two Catalyst grants, we've got, I'm sorry, the CDBG and the Catalyst grants are the four major projects in there. We did put some funding in there to allow for second-story housing, a project that we anticipate, but we haven't received that application yet. And then we've got a couple of smaller commercial restoration rehab grants included in that.
So when it comes up, it can't exceed the 900,000, right, Al?
That's correct. That's the cap. You have to set the not-to-exceed amount tonight.
Okay,
And that's what the 900 is.
gotcha.
So that, while it's a big number, it's above where we expect it to be with all of those projects.
Sure, gotcha. That's where it is, that's where it goes.
A lot of stuff going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we didn't get anything, calls, mail, email, nothing for it? Okay. Ken, don't see anyone out there. Next, I would ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have a motion and a second to close the hearing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading for the amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the first reading. May I have a roll call, please?
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that approves urban renewal plan amendment for the Independence Urban Renewal Area.
Did we just do that?
Is this in addition to what we just did the first reading?
Yeah.
And we'll still need a second and third reading on it?
Mhm.
Okay.
What is this?
This is a resolution to approve it. The process here is confusing on the urban renewal plan amendments. This is the language that we received from our council at Dorsey and Whitney. We're just following their
So
step.
approving the same thing. So moved.
Basically, it feels like it's redundancy, but that's what they sent us as a process.
Did you say so moved?
I haven't.
Second.
Not sure what that approval of the first reading did.
I agree with you, Doug.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I follow it. This
Yeah.
came from John Danis.
No, John Danos knows what he's doing, but I'm wondering if this, because this is not an ordinance.
I-
So,
I
yeah.
concur.
Okay.
So I do have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. May I have a roll call, please?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez, oh, sorry. Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
These are all good projects we're working on. A lot of people putting their own money into these projects, too.
Absolutely. And the difference is the money comes out of either our general fund or through TIF. And this has a more plausible impact on our general fund to do it this way.
Okay, next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that approves the engineering services agreement for airport planning services with Bolton and Mink.
We've all been pretty happy with Carl, haven't we?
I think Carl has done an excellent job, not just Carl, but the folks that are working with him. So we would recommend, the airport board recommended approval on a 3-to-1 vote.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve the engineering firm. May I have a roll call, please?
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that approves the contract for the City Hall tuck pointing project with Restoration Services Incorporated.
This has come to us because our roof replacement came in at a reasonable number. When we went back out to secure a quote for budget purposes to do our tuck pointing, they determined that with the tuck pointing that they observed and what does and doesn't have to be done, they gave us a quote of $40,290, which is significantly lower than what we had originally received, more closely to that $80,000 range. This $40,000 fits within our CIP of $140,000 for this fiscal year. So if we approve the contract now, lock in our $40,000 price, they can start in the spring when it warms up, and we get it done in this budget year in our existing CIP.
I have a question on this. This is this west wall out here?
Well, it's the
Well,
north third, but yes, the west wall for
west
sure.
wall has bricks falling out of it.
Yes, it does.
I noticed the barricade was right up against the building, which doesn't really keep cars away from where the bricks are falling out. Do we have some liability there?
Well-
In some places you see that they build a canopy or something to, because there's a lot, if you look up there, there's a lot of loose bricks.
We can put the, we can set the barricade out where we'll do some good. I can't stop the folks from pushing it back up against the wall. And that's what we seem to be running into, is people are determined to park there, and I'm not sure what else to do to, short of buying those concrete barricades and setting them in there so that it eliminates the
They can't
parking.
move 'em.
But what if we put on the north and south side and connected it for three pieces instead of just one? See what I'm saying? Then they can't push that, because somebody's gonna lose a windshield and we're gonna be here, or worse. They're
Well-
gonna say, well, it's your fault, your building's falling on.
Well, it seems to be worse when it's windy, and I'm concerned about the winds that we're going to see Wednesday, Thursday of this week. I will assure you that I believe there will be bricks falling off of there this week. I can't do anything about it. They tried to put a rubber cap on it to hold them in place. It's not holding them in place as well as we would
I
have
mean,
hoped.
I remember the mill down here when it started coming loose, and one day the whole south wall was laying on sidewalks.
Well, the bricks at the top are loose, and they can't tuck point at this time of year effectively. So we'll put another barricade up, absolutely.
Is it-
You were right. The knowledge of the city of the potential risk definitely would make you liable should there be property damage or personal injury. It's kind of like, even like if you have brick manholes and a brick breaks loose and plugs a sewer main that backs up in somebody's house, you're not liable unless you knew that was going to potentially fail. Well, here's a case where you know there's failure and it's potentially failing, so you
So
definitely.
is there some other barricades that they can't move that we can put out there, especially in the next
Well, if
few
we,
days with the wind that I know we're gonna have?
we can go out to, I think Manats has got those large concrete ones that we can, precast ones that we can put out there, and, I mean, that'll lock it up for the rest of the winter. in
I
essence,
think
but-
we need to, because even somebody getting hit, somebody could get killed out there.
I think the complaints of not having a parking spot is probably less of a problem than somebody's car being hit or the liability of somebody being injured and stuff, so,
We're gonna have the complaints until somebody's car gets damaged.
yeah,
And then the complaint just changes.
yeah, to a lawsuit.
Right.
Do I need a
Okay.
motion to approve this 40,000
Yes.
something? So moved.
I'll make, did Deb make her? Okay,
So you're making the motion to accept this? Did you?
no,
I'm getting all these. Sorry about that, Mike.
That's okay.
As long as Susie's got them all, that's good.
It's the hair
May I have a
that
roll
throws
call,
it off on me.
please? I love this.
Callahan,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. And who do we have to look at closing off those
No,
street
I'll-
department or somebody?
I'll work with the street department to get that put in there.
Okay, okay, as soon as possible.
Maybe the county would be willing to bring a couple in.
We can check with them and see if they've got a couple we can use for the winter. That's a good idea.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that accepts the work covering the 2021 pavement rehabilitation project. I knew you were
Evening.
going to come up here eventually.
Thanks, Brian.
So as the mayor said, this is final acceptance of the 2021 pavement rehab project. Heartland Asphalt has completed 9.5 blocks of the asphalt street mill and overlay rehabilitation, and we have reviewed their work. We find it to be in substantial compliance with the plans and specifications, and we therefore recommend approval.
And make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Thank you. I do have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. May I have a roll call, please?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution for a wage adjustment for the deputy clerk effective January 7th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
So the public knows this is part of the contract when she was hired for this improvement that she has met everything, so.
Yes.
May I have a roll call, please?
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the airport board's recommendation to the city council for the fiscal year 2023 airport CIP.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
What, maybe Al, we do this every year we change it if it's just a plan.
Right, the FAA requires us to submit a plan of what it is that we think might happen at the airport over the next 5 years, and that helps them plan for their disbursement of funds. We worked with the airport engineer to put into place a concept of what projects we expect to do. We have replacing taxiway runway lighting and putting up lighted signage on the taxiway, entrance to the runway, et cetera. In 2023, runway taxiway pavement maintenance, which is a crack filling project basically on the runway and taxiway in 2025. 2027, the airport master plan and ALP, or the airport layout plan update. We're required to do that from time to time, and 2027 is about the timeframe when that comes due again. And then in 28, we have T-hanger, the concept of adding to our T-hangers as a possibility. T-hangers are very, very difficult to get funded through, we can't use federal money, we have to use state money. There's less of that available. It's very competitive. It's out there as something we need at some point in time. It's important to have these things in the CIP, even if we push them down the road and decide we don't need to do them later, because if federal funds were to become available or state funds become available, this document, it has to be in place before we can get that money. The first thing that the state or the federal aviation departments will look at is our CIP and say, well, is this a project that you have on the books? And that's kind of the first test before they'll fund it. So at this point, this is the plan that the airport board has recommended, and we'd ask your approval. And it does have to be submitted by I think it's the 21st of December is final submission date.
And you don't need a roll call on this?
No,
Okay.
just consent.
I do have a motion and a second. May all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to, okay, so we are scheduled for a meeting on December 27th at 6:30 for a city council meeting, unless for some reason The majority of you do not want to hold that, and then you need to make a motion to cancel that
Do
meeting.
we have bills that have to be paid or anything, Susie?
If we'd have any that would run the chance of having a late fee or finance charge, we do have, there's a resolution that gives us the authority to cut those checks early. But otherwise, most checks, if a vendor really pushes it, we can cut them a check. But otherwise, they can usually wait till January, so.
I make the motion that we cancel it.
Second.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second to cancel the December 27th, regular meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes,
Motion carried. I thought for sure at least one of you would come and want to have a meeting with me that day for the year's up. You're all giving me these strange looks.
Put it in my-
We're trying to be nice.
What? I have no social life, so this is it. What can I say? Okay, next on the agenda is a motion to approve a change order 2 for Highway 150 reconstruction project in the amount of $570. I know you don't like change orders, Carl, but
I know, but since I like that highway, and all the people I've talked to really like it, except, are we digging up something?
Yeah.
We'll get into that in
Okay.
reports if that's okay.
Okay, yeah. I feel better now. I'm good with it.
so you're making a motion to accept this change order? With a twist of the arm.
Second.
I'm going to miss this. Okay, I do have a motion and a second to approve the change order. Any other discussion?
It's
Any
lucky
other-
I can carry a gun now, Carl.
Any other comments you need to
Yes.
make in regards to this, since it's already got
Simply-
the motion?
Simply to answer questions, I can summarize what's in there, if you'd like any clarification on it. Most of the information's in your packet, but
Yep.
some additional work. It is, we did work with the DOT on the change order. They have concurred with the change order, and this extra work, that's the little bit of extra work that's included in here is eligible for reimbursement by the DOT, so.
Okay. May I have a roll call then?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Hamplet, Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes,
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Okay, next on the agenda is the 2022 street project. Does this need a motion, or
Just
is this more for information?
This is primarily for discussion.
Okay.
This came out of the Public Works Committee meeting. So what you have in your packet is a current list of streets that are scheduled for next year's program. We've worked with the Street Department and Public Works to update priorities based on some accelerated deterioration that we're seeing on the streets. So those recommended streets that are listed in the map that's in your packet, for you guys' consideration so that we can move forward with preliminary design on those streets that most need attention. We're on schedule to have preliminary plans together next month so that the council can take action on setting the necessary public hearings and approving the notices as we move forward with the project.
We did make a few adjustments here. This is the last of our 5-year plan of streets, and we were looking at possibly scaling back or whatever the next year, 2023, so we thought we really went through here, and Al and Crawford's and
Todd with the street.
Todd, to get the worst of the worst so that we could get those taken care of this next summer. There was some discussion that there might be 1 or 2 streets for the next year, but we can talk about those as we get into it, because we wanted to reevaluate before we get into our next 5-year plan. And we definitely don't want to stop working on streets. We've made a small indentation, but we've got plenty of work. But I think that's why you see kind of some short spots here, because of those are areas that are very poor, and so we kind of jumped around a little bit, if you're wondering why we're not doing 5 or 6 straight blocks anymore.
So
There's
what's
still
our total number of streets? 9? Did
about
I-
9.5 blocks.
9.5 blocks,
Which
okay.
is similar to what we did this last year, the work that you just approved. It's the same length, same scale of project as was done. It was just done on asphalt streets this year. We'll be doing concrete streets next year.
So when would you let on that, Brian?
We typically do that in March or April, and that asphalt work is typically done later in the fall. That's what we've seen, and the prices have held fairly steady. There's not a lot of plastic pipe and other things that we've seen material costs increase on. The asphalt has been fairly steady as far as the cost increases have gone. So we feel that 9.5 blocks is still appropriate.
We discussed this at length in the Public Works meeting, and the streets that we're adding to this are very highly traveled and in really poor shape, and it's really going to be a big difference, I think.
And some of them have seen some heavier traffic, especially up in the northeast due to the Highway 150 project. That was one of the other items that we discussed at Public Works, is that they were pretty heavily traveled, and we think we've seen some increased deterioration because of that with the 150 project
This
being
comes out of the
closed.
current year's budget? I mean, it's already budgeted,
Yes, this
part
is
of our
in,
5-year thing?
well, it's in our bond issue that we did this year that covered the 21 and the 22 construction seasons as far as paying for them. So that money's already been levied.
Okay, we don't need a motion or anything, this is just informational?
Correct. As long as there's no objections, we'll proceed with our contract.
Okay. I think the council has done a fantastic job for the last 5 years for our streets and making improvements, and it's definitely should be showing to the public, the citizens, as to what's been done.
I agree, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback on the improvements that have been made, so hopefully you guys are hearing that as well.
Yep.
Very much needed.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, Spring 2022 STBG and TAP funding program.
So this is the Surface Transportation Improvement Program that's offered through the state. This is something that we've applied for different projects in the past in order to get matching funds or some level of funding from the state for projects that are at a collector level or above. So they seem like local streets, but they really have a classification under the federal function within the city. So there's 2 projects that were discussed at the Public Works Committee meeting. It would be updating applications that we've made in the past, so we'll work with Al and the city staff in order to update 2 street applications. One is the First Street West reconstruction. It's listed on the wall as one of your goals or priorities. This would be programming for the 2026 calendar year, but as we've discussed, sometimes those projects can either be bumped up or bumped back based on other needs within the planning area or planning district. So the second of the first one was the First Street West project. The second is a street rehab similar to the one that we did in 2019, where we had matching dollars for those collector level streets and above that needed attention within the city. So the mayor was with me that day when we gave the presentation and were awarded that first project. So this would be a similar application. We actually presented 2 applications that day, and we were awarded one. So this would be rebooting, if you will, that old application and getting it in front of the group for funding. Those applications are due in February. and we have the meeting in March. So next month, what we would be asking for is council, it'd be a council resolution at that time to sponsor the project. So there is one council action that's required with the application submittal. So I wanted to bring this to your attention this month, so you're not surprised next month. Any questions on either of those two applications?
Do you think the funding for these is better because of all of the federal monies and that are starting to funnel in? Does that affect any of this?
I think what I would say that is a good point. You're reminding me, because as these different programs come through, for example, like the COVID stimulus and things like that, if you're not on the list, they're going to go to that list of approved projects first to see if those can be bumped up, because they know that those have a better chance of being ready, shovel ready, if you will, to go. So I think it does put the city at an advantage if those types of funding opportunities come up, that these applications are in, and perhaps they're on the list. Those projects are on the 5-year program list.
And for those out there in TV land that are wondering what First Street West is, it's from the River Bridge.
River Bridge,
Out west to about
Spon
Spon
and
Rose,
Rose. Yep. Yep,
which is in
thank you.
bad shape.
Indeed.
The Transportation Alternative Plan, or TAP program, is a trail project. It's the mechanism for funding trails that would run from Walmart down Enterprise Drive to 6th Avenue, and then north up to the sidewalk at the Olds Addition. To finish that trail loop that we started 4 or 5 years ago.
Can that include lighting too, Al?
We do have lighting on the north side of Enterprise Drive right now, and I believe that the current lighting project that Indy Light and Power is doing on 6th Avenue Southwest would cover that area as well. Good question, but I think those are...
Isn't the lighting though pretty poor from the trail that we ended to Enterprise Drive?
Well, there's
Currently, yes.
lighting that they've started there. They've done about half of what they're going to do. They'll come back and finish that project, but that isn't complete yet.
Okay, that's all on
I mean, that's currently in the works right now to bring that lighting up to Lover's Lane.
okay, I was asking about that. Oh, it's 2 Lovers Lane, not past there.
Not past Lover's Lane, because there's already lights on the east side from Lover's Lane up to Bland Boulevard.
Okay.
It's not what they call the urban lighting plan, which has the lights much closer together, which they've done from Lover's Lane south. From there north, it's more of a rural plan, so there's not quite as many lights.
It's still a lot better than it was, I'll tell you that, driving home there.
Yeah. Anything helps.
Okay, that again is informational, no motions, nothing needs to be done. Then on the agenda next is engineer update, as long as you're here.
And I think the only, this is primarily to answer questions, and I appreciate Al and leaving this on the agenda just so that you guys have the opportunity to ask questions. I think the only project that we haven't talked about would be the Liberty Trail, the south extension project that's under design right now. So that is a project that you'll see next month. There'll be some action on that for the notices and setting the schedule for the public hearings. And
And what's that gonna run from where to where?
that runs from just north of Bland Boulevard, where the pavement stops, but the trail is still there, so we'll connect to that existing paving, and it'll proceed south across Bland Boulevard and through Steve G's developments and make a connection at Triangle Park.
Is that
That'll be
gonna
a
all
great
be one
loop when they get that
project?
done.
Yes, that is all one project, correct.
I'm sorry, John.
I was just saying, it'll be a great loop when that's done.
Yeah.
I had a Boy Scout the other night, we talked here at City Hall, and he said when you get ready to put that in, let him know and he'll keep his dogs from barking at the city council members. And I said, we're not putting these in ourselves personally.
Brian, do you want to update? I know you sent us, Travis and I, an update on the issue going on here on 150. Would you update everybody on that?
Certainly, thank you. There is, as Carl mentioned, there is some work that's being done on 150. It's in front of 111 Fifth Avenue Northeast. The contractor did have an issue with a sanitary sewer service line there, and the problem required that they excavate, make a repair and a connection there to the new main. And they've completed that work. They actually installed a temporary pump station there to return the residents to service. And then they have since dismantled that and made the permanent connection to the main, and they'll be pouring that back tomorrow morning if everything goes appropriately. They are using a special mix design so that it will cure quickly, and they should be able to return the street back, put traffic back on it on Thursday at the latest.
Nice.
So that was
Everything
the
goes-
contractor's fault there?
Yes, and I want to report that the contractor was, they expedited that work, and they were focused on a solution as soon as they were notified about it.
What about the lady had some problems in her basement? Are they going to help
They're-
her with that?
They've already begun that process, and they understand that they've got some issues to take care of. They've communicated with us that they're working toward that solution right now.
Okay.
Yep. In conjunction with the solving of the problem under the street.
So they had to tear the new concrete up, didn't they? Part
They
of it.
did, yep. They had to tear about 2 panels.
I really like their work. They seem like a very good company to do business with.
I agree, yep. We've been very happy with Dave Schmidt Construction, and that's evident in the work that they've completed and how they handle problems when they come up, so.
Now, on the other side of the coin, how's Sixth Avenue looking?
Is that on the agenda, Al?
No. Sixth Avenue, the contractor would like to have a conversation before we formalize the agreement with them. I'm meeting with the contractor on Wednesday, so it was on this agenda. It was pulled at the last minute at their request, and so we'll have a little sit-down on Wednesday and discuss the pros and cons of what we've offered them as a settlement to their situation.
That was also discussed at length at the Public Works Committee, and I think the committee's been more than fair.
Yeah, I think that we have a plausible solution. It's just a matter of they wanted to discuss it, they weren't sure they agreed, so I want to make sure we get this worked out with them before we bring it here for final approval. It could be a lot worse for the contractor than what the committee is proposing.
But I like the idea in the spring, like you brought up, about that short duration, get it done.
Get it done, and if there's something in the weather that doesn't allow it, if there's a legitimate reason
yeah.
for it, we can address that in the spring, but I hate to assume that the weather's going to be bad 6 months from now.
Is the meeting with the contractor, not the property owner?
It's with the contractor.
Contractor, okay.
I do want to, on the 150 project, let you know that Travis Foley with our utilities did a magnificent job of dealing with the situation. When he was first made aware of it, he's been on top of this and working toward a solution, along with Brian and the contractor. But Travis really did a nice job with that, and while I was out last week, he carried the water on that, and I appreciate it, and I wanted to acknowledge him publicly for his work.
I agree.
Agreed.
So if we're going to have to approve something with this contractor on the Sixth Avenue thing, can that wait until after the first of the year before the council does that? Since we're not meeting on the 27th, are we going to need a special meeting just,
No,
For
but the contractor,
I'm still trying to get you guys back.
the contractor will wait until we meet. It isn't going to change anything at this point.
Okay.
Yep, that final pay application for the contractor and the change order will be processed at the same time. as the two are relying upon each other.
Sure.
Any additional questions?
See, they got the fence staked out there, at least moving up ahead of the game on that.
Yep, the poles are in, all of the chain link is in, and the street department did a nice job of putting the safety fence up there until the permanent fencing can be installed, that the owner requested there.
I have a question, and probably the answer's already. When we bring that trail north along 6th Avenue Southwest from Enterprise Drive, it's going to be the width that all the other trails have been?
It'll be the 8-foot minimum. 10-foot is a standard trail width to receive trail funding. We can receive, as Brian's done in the past, receive an exception to that to reduce it to an 8-foot. But we can't go narrower than 8 feet if we're going to use TAP funding.
My question is, are the residents that already have sidewalk, they're safe, we're not going to make them make their sidewalks wider?
The end of that, the beginning and end points of the project that's under consideration for the application we discussed ends and terminates where that sidewalk starts.
Okay, because I
there aren't
don't
any-
think it's fair to them to suddenly say you got to double your sidewalk.
Are we
Just
getting,
wanted to
Correct.
clarify that.
That's not part of the scope of
Okay.
the trail project. Good question, yep.
are we getting any more cooperation from Walmart to go along their property there to do that? Because they stopped us, because we were approved before. Because of them, we had to do a double
I think there's
step,
some
but-
citizens that have kind of taken that torch and are working toward
Good.
that, and
Okay.
hopefully they're having better luck than we did and city staff did and street department did. So that's kind of been passed around quite a bit to try and come up with some creative solutions to communicate there. So I think we've got some community members
Good.
that are working on that.
Okay.
Maybe we'll take their cooperation in mind when we approve their liquor license on the next meeting.
Whoa.
I appreciate the sentiment. I'd caution you on that.
We could have,
We didn't hear that.
Mayor, we could have solved this if Brian would have just purchased that when Walmart thought he was going to.
That was the only call that I got back, is when they mistakenly thought that I was interested in purchasing the land, so maybe I should have carried that forward, I don't know.
Yeah, just think what
It
you
might
could
be
have
the
done.
same price as the easement by now.
Perhaps.
Thank you for
All right.
working on that.
You bet.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Brett.
much. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is the 2022 City Council meeting schedule, which has the 27th of December of next year. It's a
Christmas is
Tuesday.
different next.
Tuesday.
And I don't think the new mayor will be quite so zealous on the last meeting.
Well, that'll just be his first year of his term, though. It won't be his ending one. We're down,
Do we
excuse
need
me.
an adoption of that schedule? I need a motion to,
So moved.
Second.
Oh, the calendar?
yes.
Oh, okay. You don't need a roll call for this, do you?
Ayes or nays?
I have a motion and a second to approve the 2022 City Council meeting schedule. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I don't have a vote.
I thought we'd add 5 or 6 more meetings.
Yeah,
No.
I hope you change the one of the Cal meetings, but that'll be later. Under reports, I want to start, I shared this with a couple of council, or city members, but I got this. This is a sign of why, at least I don't know about you guys, that I ran for office and the fun I get out of it. I have a card that says, thanks, gracias, thank you, I see all that stuff. It says, Dear Miss Mayor Davis, we want to thank you for all you have done to serve our community of Independence. We wish you goodwill and plenty of rest in 2022. Love it. May God continue to bless you and your family. Blessings from Mrs. House and St. John's second graders. And then they each sign the card. It's like, these are our future voters. So I'm going to do what they say and try to get plenty of rest in 2022. So that was a fun thing to have. So does anybody else have any reports that they would like to share? If this is our last meeting for the year?
I I would like to thank you and Carl both for all the years on the council and the mayor, and probably won't be the last we see you, but for now, thank you for this, up to this point. I'd like to just give you a round.
We know where that clipboard's at that we can sign in, don't we, Carl?
He wants us to use that invisible ink like we used to, though.
Al, I think you mentioned that we were supposed to leave our laptops down here because they're going to work on them.
Yes, please leave your laptops here. We're going to try and get the email issue squared away. We're going to find out why we don't have internet tonight, but that is not because of your computers. But they will work on that, and I hope to have them available for you by this Friday when we have our strategic planning retreat. I'll remind you, Thursday at 5 o'clock at the library. We are meeting to start our session, tentatively 5 to 9 on Thursday. Friday, we will start at 8, and we're scheduled to go till 5. We'll see how the day goes, but that's what we've set aside.
That's gonna be at the library too on Friday.
At the library. We are serving supper on Thursday evening. We are having lunch on Friday for you as well. And we'll have rolls for you on Friday morning, so
And coffee?
don't push it.
Susie's big into coffee.
Well, then we'll have coffee.
Any word on the special election?
I do have word on the special election. The special election will be February 4th. I have to work on getting those dates and roll them, February 8th, I'm sorry. I do have to work on those dates rolling back for filing periods, and I'll get that out to you as soon as I get that worked up with Chris. But February 8th is the special election to fill at-large seat. They do think that the cost of the election will be between $8,000 and $10,000 unless they are allowed to reduce it down to one polling location, which will help quite a bit with that cost. Because it's an at-large seat, Chris is going to try and do that, and that would help out a bunch.
What did our last election cost?
The one that
We just had.
we haven't gotten a bill yet.
I thought that was more around 6,000. No?
She hasn't sent us the bill yet.
Yeah. She's estimating it. She just wants us to know that up front that there is a cost associated with that. In the past, they have been able to reduce it to one polling location as long as the ballot is the same. In this case, obviously, there is only one ballot for the entire city, so I'm hopeful that printing the ballots will be less expensive as well as the poll workers being fewer. But
Could we use City Hall?
I doubt.
I don't think so. River's Edge or Falcon Civic Center were two options that were
Okay.
mentioned.
Senior Center, would that work?
Senior Center would if they allow it. The VFW, again, would be a location that they're familiar with that might be a possibility. I don't know what Chris is thinking, but
I'm just thinking, who, do they charge for using, if it's a city property, would they not charge us? Well, we
I-
wouldn't charge ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're charged to use those locations or not. But again, we'll have to work with Chris on that. If she finds out she can do it in one place, we'll work on that. But, again, as soon as I get the details of that worked out, we'll get that back to you. I think Tom has a question.
Did you say February 4th or 8th?
8th.
8th,
It is the
8th.
8th.
On Tuesday, the 8th.
So anyone interested in serving the last 2 years of Bob's term on at-large would need to run in that election.
Right.
Help us out.
I set
Fill
the
our seats.
standard low, so don't worry.
In fact, they're getting a deal because it's only 23 months by the time we get to the election.
Susie, did you have anything in addition that you wanted to have? No?
I'm good.
Do you have anything else?
I just wanted to, because this is our last meeting, wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I thank you for the last year, and enjoy the holidays.
Oh, one question, I see we got evaluation forms. When do you want them back, Bonnie? Are you still giving you authority?
They don't come back until January, do they, as far as the process itself? I thought.
I just was wondering, because we got them, what's the time frame?
Generally, those would be back to the mayor, the first meeting in January.
Right.
So that would be January 10th.
Okay.
And that means it's all on you. Because officially, January 3rd at noon, the hammer changes. And I would like to thank everybody. This has been an interesting 8 years as mayor, and even the 4 years as city council, and met a lot of people, learned a lot, probably got a lot more gray hairs than I had when I started 12 years ago. But it has been fun, and you will probably see me on the other side of that microphone over the next several years. Now, since you have that ramp that I can get in and out of here so easy with, I thank you all for that. So, if there's nothing else, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
I'll ask one other thing about people, if they can help out to ring bells. We got a lot of hours yet. We got 3 places we're ringing, so.
You have 3, yeah, there is.
picked up
And they're
dollars
still open. They can get on the internet, can't they, to
you can
fill
call
in?
Julie Johnson, her number's everywhere.
Yeah.
You can just drive through, and if there's nobody there, you just go get the bucket, bring it out, and bell, and ring your bell.
And you
Motion
can.
to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
See y'all.